Hey, Screen Peekers, welcome back to the channel. Today we are having a special episode to discuss Asha Sharma's new memo today, finally announcing what we've been talking about for a month, what is happening within Xbox as part of their reset strategy between now and year end of fiscal year 2027. We got 4 studio closures and layoffs across all of the Xbox division. So stick with us. Nick and I are going to break it all down for you and give us our honest reactions. All right. So before we get into it, because there's lots here to talk about, I want to introduce my co host. The man's been having trouble all day. He has 10 gigabytes of internet, but can't seem to connect. This video should have went out hours ago, but the man's having some internet trouble, but that's okay. It's my co-host Nick. What's going on?
My day could have been better, man. And you just gotta rub the
You and
salt in.
you and about 1,600 other Microsoft employees.
Yeah, well, yeah. I guess I can't complain. Yeah, now that you put it in that perspective, and
You're like, damn.
yeah, I guess
Coming out
I
hot.
yeah.
Coming out hot. But yeah, dude, it's one of those days, man. But I mean, now we can finally at least talk with some certainty now that we somewhat know what's going on. Obviously, there's still a lot more to come, but we'll just jump right into it. So today is the day, Monday, July 6th, 2026. Asha Sharma put out a memo just after some breaking news. I think Tom Warren was one of the first that I saw to post it. Windows Central articles across the gaming industry. Um, just talking about the different layoffs and studio closures that are happening at Xbox. So, just to give a quick recap, so in her memo, Asha states that after careful consideration, I made the difficult decision to reduce her team by approximately 3,200 people throughout fiscal year 2027. This will include approximately 1,600 role eliminations today. And in addition, 4 studios will leave Xbox to new management. So the quick highlight being Compulsion Games, who have made South of Midnight, as well as We Happy Few, as well as Double Fine, which is Tim Schafer's studio. They will all be leaving Xbox and becoming independent studios, as well as uh, 2 other studios leaving. So Undead Labs, who are currently creating State of Decay 3, as well as Ninja Theory, who is hard at work at making Senua. Sounds like they have an yet unnamed buyer, but sounds like they've secured, a new purchaser there. So those studios will continue to exist. And then lastly, we have Arcane, who is currently working on Blade. They've made Dishonored as well as many other games in the past. They're working with the French government to see, strategically where can they go. But between all 5 studios specifically mentioned within the memo, it sounds like they are all quote saved in the sense that they will still be able to continue to exist and to operate. And as part of the memo, she also announced that all previously announced projects for right now as part of these deals are still under production, which I think is some good news of this bad news. Um, but then lastly, just to recap, and then Nick, I'll turn it over to you for your reactions. 1,600 people laid off today. Not quite the biggest in Xbox's history. We remember the January 2024 layoff right after the Activision Blizzard
Yep.
merger. 1,900 were laid off. Today, 1,600. With another 1,600 to come sometime in the next 12 months. It says by the end of fiscal year 2027. So that gives us until June 30th of 2027 to lay off another 1,600 people, which again, if you're a Microsoft Xbox employee and you made it out of today's layoff, it's not it's not a great feeling to know that another 1,600 are coming. Like, some studios got impacted as much as 25%. Obsidian, I think, laid off 25% of its staff, and to think another 1,600 is at least coming in the next 12 months. And Asha even says it in her memo. It's like, you know, she wanted to be transparent and forthcoming, and she knows this is painful, and it's a double-edged sword to kind of announce like, hey, half today, half at some other point. But yeah, just kind of a tough day, especially for those impacted by those layoffs. But Nick, what was your reaction when you heard today's news?
Yeah, and let me preface just by saying, I'm by no means an industry expert. I'm just a gamer. These are just my opinions and reactions. And honestly, it hearing news like that is just so damn awful. Like, I can't even begin to imagine what these ex employees are going through with their families, right? Like, it's tough. It's tough. And seeing that happen in an already brutal industry, right? I mean, I think we can all agree that getting into the gaming industry is by no means an easy feat. And then staying in it, you know, being creative and adding your playing your part in the gaming industry, that's already tough. I think us on the receiving end of these games, we just get to enjoy the games, right? These people, you hear about long, arduous hours, lots of crunch time, and they're quite literally sacrificing blood, sweat, and tears to create these amazing games for us. And then this is how they're repaid by companies like Microsoft, right? And it's just an awful feeling. I'm not super stoked with that direction. I mean, it's not the developers' fault, right? That Microsoft didn't budget correctly, or whatever happened to lead up to all these layoffs. Um, it's just unfortunate, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I we'll talk about the cons, but also the pros. I mean, and this is anything we say on this podcast. It's not to make light of this situation whatsoever. Again, like I won't keep couching it. I like we're both HR professionals. We've talked about that in other episodes. Like you and I, like we see so many layoffs in our own industry and across the gaming industry, and we've been talking about it for about a month now since we started this podcast. But like it's again everything we say. Like our hearts go out to those impacted. But Asha in her memo like paints a very bleak picture of Xbox, and I do want to talk about it a little bit. Like, she points out that in the last, in any given typical year in Xbox, they lose 64 cents for every dollar that they invest into these studios. Um, the management teams and the employee size of Xbox has increased by over 40% in years, even though they started this generation with a smaller user base than they had in the Xbox One generation. And cost structures are much higher today than in previous years. So like some of the things that she's saying, like you're losing 64 cents on the dollar, like
That's
that's
scary, man. That's
that's
scary.
bleeding.
Yeah.
You're actually not even bleeding. That is hemorrhaging money.
Yep.
Um, so again, like there's always the human side and the business side, and you and I both know that better than anyone, right? Just through our professions. So yeah, it's seeming bleak at Xbox, but I will say again, I won't keep couching it, but like at the very least, I am glad as a from a gamer perspective, that these studios do seem like they will be able to still exist.
Oh
Obviously,
yeah.
they've had layoffs, but
I,
from the strictly gamer perspective, like this is intellectual property. Like Tim Schafer's studio, Double Fine gets to retain all their intellectual property.
yep.
Same with Compulsion. Like honestly, like I
That's the best way
again,
forward, man.
it's the best way forward. It's the best situation out of a terrible situation. And I will say again, you know, we'll hold our opinions on Asha Sharma and new leadership for in the coming years. Like, look, already the way these layoffs are being handled versus how the last few rounds of major layoffs have been handled, like this is already in air quotes the best it's been, in the sense that like yeah, dude, like these studios, like we want them to retain their intellectual property, because honestly, Xbox just sits on intellectual property anyway and doesn't do half of what it could with all this property. So I'm glad these studios still have the opportunity to, work on their creations, right?
Absolutely.
Even more.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely. I
yeah,
mean, I mean, look at we use Double Fine as an example, right? Like, if you go up and Google Double Fine games and the games that they've developed and the games that they self-publish versus games that, you know, Microsoft published for them, there's I would say there's a pretty steep difference in quality and enjoyment out of the games that at least I played, right? Like Costume Quest, I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. You know, The Cave, Broken Age, like these are some Custom Quest 2. These are some really, really fantastic Double Fine classics, in my opinion, that I enjoyed. But then you go back and you know, like I get it. Psychonauts 2, Kiln. These are games that were
Brutal Legend is the big one everybody loves and remembers fondly.
yeah. And wait, which one was that? Sorry.
Brutal Legend, the Jack Black one.
Oh,
with
Brutal
Ozzy
Legend.
Osbourne.
Yeah.
Kind of like an RTS. Yeah.
I haven't played it.
Pretty
But was that
good.
wasn't produced by Xbox, right? By Microsoft?
No, it was before
Before the whole acquisition, yeah.
it's before the acquisition, but
much beloved games that honestly pre-acquisition by Xbox, like they were doing great, but then of course they got acquired. They started publishing all these different games, and now that I'm looking at it, it's not a whole lot. I think this might be a good thing for Double Fine. They get to go back to their roots and not have to, you know, listen to the suits upstairs and just listen to their creativity, man.
Yeah, I mean, like, and Tim Schafer is such a legend in the industry. Like, I'm sure he'll have no problem finding, like, if it's not Xbox, Microsoft funding them, like, you know, people to publish and you know, fund their games. I will say, like, if you actually look at the history of some of these studios too, like Compulsion, you know, like their time under Xbox was pretty short. Like all these studio acquisitions pretty much came in 2018, and then we hit a pandemic for, you know, arguably 3-4 years where the whole world has changed. Like, yeah, they didn't like get the opportunity to like really shine under Xbox or Microsoft, and arguably because Xbox and Microsoft very much mismanaged them. The other thing I like you and I from an HR perspective too, like which I found mind blowing. So I'll just say a little, like my bachelor's degree is actually in organizational design and org theory, etc. The part of Asha's memo that struck me the most is like at some layers of Xbox, there's 14 layers of management.
Insane.
14 layers of management. What are we talking about? Like,
I think
again,
some of these like tech companies, they just overthink it and like they want to be different, and it just
and like honestly, again, from like we're not pundits, right? We're just gamers, and we're from the outside looking in, right? So we don't pretend to know best, but at the same time, too, like as HR professionals, like you and I, like we reduce management layers all the time. We like, you know, think through best org design. Like I was so happy to read the sentence that she's like, at most we're gonna have 5 layers, and in some cases 3 layers of management. Like I know from experience that like flatter organizations within these giant conglomerates like tend to work best. And like the minute you have 14 layers, like yeah, you're slowing down decision making. You know, the left hand has to talk to the right hand and every hand in between, and it really just slows down the process. So like I will see how this strategy shakes out for Xbox in the long term, but I'm again, human element aside with the layoffs, like I think Asha's correct, and like yeah, like a flatter organization is going to be a little bit more agile, a little more nimble, and hopefully we get better products as a result. Because yeah, like honestly, like middle management, I like if you're a white collar worker out there, like we know how middle management is. Like it's such an obstacle. So you know, I hope like we don't have the full details of, you know, what departments exactly got cut. We're just getting little sprinkling of stories here and there, but like yeah, you know, like the more you could get rid of middle management and keep the creators, the artists, the programmers, you know, in line and employed, the better. Because yeah, 14 layers and to grow 40% with lower margins and a smaller install base, like at some point, like the ship is gonna capsize. It's gonna break. So it sounds like a tough but necessary. Now that doesn't make Microsoft or Xbox any less accountable to like their own failures, because I do think a lot of these studios were completely
Oh, for
mismanaged. I
sure.
do blame Xbox leadership for that, but
Yeah.
hopefully with this new blood in, like they'll right their sails and steer the ship in the right direction.
Well, for you, Marco, I certainly hope so, man. I know that this has put a downer in your gaming world, and I sincerely just I hope they right that ship. Right. So.
I mean, it's like I said in other videos, I'll say it again. Like, no matter what platform you most prefer, I am a firm believer that competition breeds innovation, and I want all these companies to do well and to continue to exist, because they only make each other truly better. And nobody wins in a market where you only have one or two market leaders, whether it's Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, Nintendo. I don't care. Like, so we should want all of these companies to do well, and these creators, these developers, to have have the room to create what they want and be successful in their own right, and not have to worry about their jobs all the time in this crazy industry that we have.
Yeah.
But that's it for today's news. Just wanted to do a quick special episode and just really quick some housekeeping at the end. Thank you all if you've gotten to this point for watching with us. Want to keep it short and sweet today. If you like what we're doing here, please like and subscribe on YouTube. You can catch us on Spotify. In the description below, we have a link tree to all of our social medias, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, etc. And we will be doing a giveaway at 100 subscribers. The only thing you have to do to enter is to leave a comment, though we also prefer if you subscribe as well. At 100 subscribers, we'll do a quick raffle, and the winner will receive a $20 game key on the platform of their choice. With that, that's it for today's episode. Catch us soon. We'll be doing some reviews of Star Fox, as well as your regularly scheduled gaming news during the week.